everybody. This is episode 47 of TLDR podcast. It's the most wonderful time of the year, right, Tradon?
Yes, sir.
Because NHL playoffs are in full effect. NBA playoffs start tomorrow. There's a major golf tournament this weekend. I'm losing my mind. Tradon, how you doing?
Dude, I'm doing great.
No, you're not. You're stressed. What are you talking about?
Well, I'm doing great we're a sports podcast here, so I'm going to strictly keep it to the sports side. I'm great. The playoffs have been fantastic. 3 of 4 games so far, and I'm not counting the games that are on right now, have been overtime. And then that game last night was arguably one of the best hockey games I've seen all season, if not in the last 3 seasons. It was an unbelievable game. The playoffs are pretty amazing so far. Yeah.
The one knock is something Alex mentioned, probably the 2 lamest Canadian organizations in the NHL, Vancouver Canucks and Calgary Flames, just playing meaningless trash games. Alex, what do you think about this bullshit?
I'd honestly forgotten that I had said anything about it. So I was like, what are you talking about? I know it's all just money. Whatever Canadian TV rights or, radio rights, they have to finish them out. But I don't what is the point? What if one of these guys has some gnarly season ending injury and they both had just terrible seasons? And I think it's so weird. I was looking through the playoffs to see when teams were starting, and all of a sudden I was like, Vancouver, what are you doing in here? You suck. And they play 4 more games, and I think it's screwing a lot of the timing up with some of this stuff. And I don't know why they get 7 o'clock prime time. I guess because it's on the western side of Canada, but I think it's stupid.
I'll say this,
my biggest complaint.
These games, they're all gentlemen's games. They're not going full 100%. I mean, that's just,
no.
They're literally doing it because they have to. So they don't get fined.
The only good part about it is all the Daryl Sutter interviews post game. They just keep popping up on my Instagram feed. A fellow Daryl Sutter lover as well, Tyler. How you doing?
I fucking love Daryl Sutter. I miss that guy. Yes. Yes, I do. Very true. I'm doing good. Busy weekend, but back home. Got 1 week left of the season for LMU baseball, so we'll have weekends free again soon, which will be really nice. So,
are you guys gonna make the playoffs?
Oh, definitely not. No. We got off to a really bad start, and we've been playing better lately, so we're finishing the season on a positive note, but we just dug ourselves such a big hole that playoffs were very unlikely.
Yeah. What a disgrace, Tyler. What a disgrace.
My bad. Sorry. Next year.
Nah, it's all right. You don't play for the team, I guess. James, there's a major golf tournament on this weekend. How excited are you? Just because you probably just found that out, but how excited are you?
I had no idea. What is going on this week? I don't. It's NBA playoffs and NHL playoffs. Those are a little bit more important right now. Golf, it's cool when I'm watching it with you, but nobody else really watches golf, man. So, go golf.
This is basically Sunday will be a playoff game for golf because it's one of the major tournaments. It's the PGA Championship.
Oh, that one.
Yeah. But it's all right. I'll have it on Sunday. It's not like I'm going to watch every day, but it'll be nice to just Thursday. You could throw it on in the daytime and Friday. Alex, save a small TV at the brewery just for somebody who wants to watch that. You might glimpse over at a few shots.
I'm sure someone will come in and be like, "Can I watch golf?" I can almost guarantee that will not happen.
And you're gonna be like, "There's 3 hockey games, 3 NBA games."
I think you have the right to refuse service to that person.
Yeah. You're like, "Well, I control the remote, so."
Very different.
I did that actually this year, but it wasn't during playoffs of things, so
it's a little bit different.
Guys, right away we're gonna get into what's most relevant, which is the NHL playoffs. They started 2 days ago. Tradon is going to get right into it right now.
Right now. Let's do it. So we're gonna go through all the divisions. We're gonna do kind of a rapid fire. Ask all the guys to pick a few teams that they're gonna kind of represent in the breakdowns for the playoffs here.
Fucking Boston, god damn it.
To start each division, though, I want to go through all of. I want to tell everyone obviously where the rankings were, and then how we fared. Like in our preseason predictions. All those weeks ago, which was like around week 30 or something. So I'll get into that. We're going to start with the Mass Mutual East. The Mass Mutual East is Pittsburgh was the first seed team, and they're taking on the New York Islanders, who were the fourth seed team. Washington took that second seed team, and they're playing the third seed Boston Bruins. So I expected Boston, in this order, I had Boston, Washington, Pittsburgh, and the Islanders making the playoffs. I am right in who got in, but I'm not right in obviously the order. Everyone except one of us expected Boston to get first, and that just never happened. They really had a rough middle of the season, as you guys remember. James had the Caps getting first, and it was close. They almost did. It was pretty damn close. No one was perfect except me in terms of who was in, because you guys had either the Rangers or the Flyers making it. Alex and James had the Flyers making it, and they just disappointed. And Tyler had the Rangers, which, let's be real, if they weren't in the Mass Mutual East, which in my opinion was definitely the most competitive division, they probably would have made the playoffs this season. So I'll give you props for that. Eric, I think you were gone that episode, so sorry I didn't mention. I'm sure if I asked you who you thought would get in, you'd say, "Oh yeah, the guys that got in." So, but yeah, we're gonna get right into it. We're gonna talk about the Pittsburgh New York series. We got the number one seed Pittsburgh against the fourth seed New York Islanders. We're gonna keep this brief because we want to get into this. James, you're following Pittsburgh. Why are they gonna win?
Because of Sidney Crosby, dude. Like at 33 years old, that guy is still dominating. I don't know if you guys watched last night's game, but he has great hand-eye coordination. He had this amazing little deflection goal. I put them up for a second there, but they ultimately lost. They're just faster and better at moving the puck than the Islanders are. And they played the Islanders a bunch during the season, obviously, and in years past. And the Islanders play the exact same scheme of defense over and over again. But the amount of times they've seen it, the Penguins should be able to pick it apart.
Are you worried about the Vezina Trophy season that Semyon Varlamov is playing over in New York?
Oh yeah, Tristan Jarry is terrible. Anything above his shoulders, he cannot get. So as long as he figures that out, we'll be okay. But as of right now, the entire Penguins team is good except for him. So I'm really, really afraid of goaltending. That's for sure.
So the Penguins just need to outscore. That's it.
That's essentially yep.
All right. Eric,
sports.
You're taking on that defensive juggernaut in the New York Islanders, and this is like you. You love these defensive teams. So why is James wrong? Why is Pittsburgh going to be beaten?
Let me start off by mentioning the team I mention every time we talk about hockey, the LA Kings, when they won their 2 Stanley Cups. Me, Alex, and Tyler said this probably like 10 times, but their defense. The Islanders defense reminds us of the Kings defense. Basically, they'd win those 1-goal games. They win 2-1, 1-0. Boring for the fans, but defense wins games in this league. One thing, what the hell is wrong with Varlamov? He wasn't even on the bench in the first game. Does he have COVID or is he hurt?
That is a great question.
Because Schneider was on the bench, which is extremely sketchy for the Islanders, but I do like their backup, Sorokin.
Yeah,
he's done good this year. I think he's a rookie, this Russian kid, I say. But Varlamov wasn't even dressed up. I had him in fantasy, but I just gave up on that because I'm going to boycott Tyler's league forever now.
I mean, I'm not.
That was my whole plan. So
yeah,
I just wanted to get
Varlamov wasn't even dressed up. But one other thing I'll say is, the goaltending tandem seems to be getting the job done this year. When Varlamov is there, but I guess you could say in that game 1, 72 hits and 39 saves. Those 2 things are going to demonstrate why the defense wins.
Hey, that first game was pretty tight. I mean, New York did take it in overtime after a late comeback in the third period there. Varlamov looks like he just has a lower body injury. He did skate in optional practice today, so it seems like he's close to return, but we'll see. But I have the Penguins taking this series. I just given the fact of what Crosby did this season to will his team to the playoffs and to the first seed in the East, I just can't imagine that that's going to subside. And let's be real, as of late, besides the last game, the Islanders were kind of in a weird trajectory in the wrong direction. So I'm going to side with James on this. Sorry, Eric. I'm going to side with James on this. I have Pittsburgh going in my bracket.
One other thing.
Oh, yeah.
No Malkin right now for the Penguins. Does that change?
He'll be back.
That's
bro.
true. Yeah, he'll be back. I have Pittsburgh in 6, and that
hopefully Varlamov is back too, and then that'll change.
Yeah, I think that if Varlamov comes back, I think that Pittsburgh's just going to have to kick it up in that next gear. But we'll see. They face each other a lot, and I guarantee they're sick of seeing each other. That's for sure. Moving on to the other matchup in the East, we got the 2nd seed Washington Capitals against the 3rd seed Boston Bruins. Alex, why are the Caps going to win this series?
I just think the Capitals have overall better depth. We've talked about how Boston has one really good line, and then, they did get Taylor Hall, and he's played well for them, but then the rest of it is iffy. I don't trust Tuukka Rask. That's just a fact. And I just think the Capitals are bigger and stronger, and it will be a series that the Capitals will just wear them down. Shout out Nick Dowd, former LA King, get that OT goal in game 1. So looks like game 2 is going to OT again. That's pretty dope. Chara, monster. He knows what the Bruins are doing. I just think that the Capitals are just going to have overall depth. I do think it's going to go 7, or I hope it goes 7, because this would be a super fun series.
All right, Tyler. Why do you think your Boston Bruins, or the Boston Bruins, not necessarily your Boston Bruins, are going to beat Washington?
Yeah, I covered the Boston Bruins last playoff run, and I just figured I'd do it again just because, they're kind of my team now, I guess, my secondary team. So, yeah, game 2 just went into overtime, so both games overtime. This is a crazy series. It's going to be – I don't know if you guys have watched or the listeners have been watching this one. This is chippy. This is like –
it is.
These guys are – it seems every stop they're getting each other's face and going at it. There's penalties left and right. So it's going to be a really brutal, physically hard-fought series, as Alex mentioned. But the Boston Bruins have been the hottest team since the trade deadline. I think that Taylor Hall pick was really good for them. Added some depth and added some scoring. I think it fixed a lot of their issues. And the Caps on the goaltending side, I don't know if they're as experienced as they have been in the past. I think that could potentially hurt them in a 7-game series, because I agree. I think this one's going to go all the way to 7. This is a really good, evenly matched matchup here. But I just like the Bruins with the way that they've been playing lately. They're hot at the right time, and I just see them offensively, I think, overwhelming the Capitals defense there in a longer series.
I like that. Look, this series I think is going to be. I think it's going to be a damn good series. This is the 2nd game in a row that they've gone to overtime. The game just ended. The regulation time just ended. The Bruins scored 26 goals. Caps pumped in 24, and each average about 30 shots a goal. 30 shots on goal per game. Like these are very evenly matched teams. So you could flip a coin, and I think that it could be anyone. I love the TJ Oshie. I love Ovechkin. And picking up Anthony Mantha was a sneaky good trade deadline pick from the Caps. That being said, Boston did win the trade deadline by taking Taylor Hall. So, and he's done very well. And I'm sitting here, I'm the same guy that said that he's one of the most overrated players in the league. So, he's definitely found a little bit of a stride, and he's proving his worth. And I think he wants to stay in Boston. And I think that this playoff run is going to mean a lot to him in finding that home in Boston. All that being said, I have the Caps winning. I think this is going to go to 6 or 7. but I do have the Caps winning. So we're going to see another Caps-Pens matchup. But hey, this is going to go the distance, and you guys both made great points.
You think this is the NBA or something? Just another Caps-Pens matchup?
Yeah, pretty much.
What a parody.
Everyone wants to see it.
Yeah, everyone wants to see it.
Will it?
I also tip my hat to the power play on the Caps. The Caps power play they were at over 1 point. They were at 1.13 power play goals per game. That is obscene. So, and the Boston side just wasn't quite there. So, but we'll see. But I have the Caps. So does Alex. Tyler, we'll see. It's gonna be tight. But moving on to the Central. The Discover Central Division, the standings ended up with Carolina number 1, Florida number 2, Tampa number 3, and Nashville number 4. We all had Tampa number 1 and Dallas number 2. We all had that, and Dallas did not even make the playoffs. They had a really rough start to the season, and then they dealt with the winter storm in February. They just couldn't find a good stride, and Tampa really kind of disappointed in a sense, I guess, in the regular season. I think those injuries, to the start of the season kind of really affected them. So, they just never really, rose to the occasion, in my opinion. Most of us had Carolina as in that third spot, besides Alex, who had him in the 4th spot. And then James had the Predators making it, which they did. Good pick there, bud.
Yeah, I lost $50 too, so that was cool. I mean, go Pride, but I lost money.
Thank you for that again,
Eric. Unfortunately, you didn't. You weren't there for this one, but the rest of us had Columbus.
Dude's been MIA.
Had Columbus making the playoffs there.
I did.
So I'll say this: I think the surprising one for everybody was Florida. Like, Florida really did an amazing job, and we'll get to that one. But first, we're going to start with the top seed Carolina Hurricanes taking on the 4th seed Nashville Predators, who in my mind, there's always one team who I think makes the biggest surprise, down the stretch of the season. I thought Nashville was completely out of it prior to the trade deadline, and then they completely came out of nowhere and made the playoffs. They were fighting till the bitter end with Dallas, who was trying to make it. But Tyler, why are the Canes going to beat the Nashville Predators?
I think maybe other than the Vegas Golden Knights, I think the Carolina Hurricanes are the most complete hockey team in the NHL right now. They can do it all. They got great goaltending, they play great defense, and they can score. They're just very well-rounded, and they're really hard to beat. And that's the reason why they got the number 1 seed, and that's the reason why they're one of the best teams in hockey right now. They're playing great. Offensively, Aho is a stud. Not only is he good offensively, but he's just one of those all-around great players. I think he kind of represents that style of play that Carolina loves. It's just, they're good at pretty much everything. They do everything well. And that three-headed netminder tandem, all of them are really solid. And I think we've seen where in the playoffs that having depth in goaltending can really help you out. And there's a lot of teams that have won Stanley Cups with 2 goaltenders kind of, doing a platoon situation. They have 3 really great goaltenders. So they have great depth in net. And also with this particular matchup against the Predators, the Hurricanes during the regular season, and I know a lot of people kind of roll their eyes at the regular season matchups, how it affects the playoffs, but their special teams dominated the Preds this season. Their power play was 10 points higher, and their penalty kill was 5 points higher than their season average. So I think I like this matchup for the Hurricanes. They're up 3-2 right now in the third period. I think that the Preds, I think they're going to be close games, but I just think the Hurricanes are going to overwhelm the Preds and win this in 5 or 6 games.
I like that. James, we found out today that your boy Kittle is a huge Predators fan. Your tight end is a huge Predators fan, and you texted me, you said, I'm a huge Predators fan now. Why are the Predators going to beat the Canes this series?
Okay, I just want to clear something up real fast. Contrary to popular belief, I am a big Preds fan. Like, the Preds are probably like the first team I watched in the playoffs ever. Remember a couple years back, I think they're playing the Stanley Cup. Remember?
Penguins.
Yeah, Pecorino was in the Penguins. Yeah.
Penguins.
I watched a lot of those games. Drank a lot of beer during those games. So at the time, like, I watched a lot of hockey, and it was a lot of the Preds stuff. So I like the Preds. But Tyler's biggest point was that they're a very complete team, and I think that's to their detriment right now. I think the fact that haven't been tested, they've kind of just been cruising all regular season long. And on the flip side, the Predators have basically been playing playoff hockey for the last 2 months, just trying to climb back in there and do their thing. They're playing at a level that's way higher intensity-wise than the Hurricanes have seen. And the Predators are a perennial playoff team. They've been there time and time again. Carolina, not as much. So all the people who were there, like Philip Forsberg and Ryan Ellis and all those guys, they know how to play playoff hockey. The intensity is triple what it is in the regular season. And I think that's going to help them a lot. On top of that, UC Saros, one of your most important players of last year, he's on a tear right now. The dude's like .927 save percentage. The guy's on fire. He's doing so well. And I think they're going to take that momentum from beating out the Stars for that 4th spot into the series and hopefully put up a good fight. They probably won't win, but I really want them to win.
I love that. Look, I think less than like 9 months ago, I said that UC Saros was the most important player for the Predators, and everyone called me a fucking idiot. The guy just put up a .927 save percentage this season, 21 fucking wins. So fuck you, everybody else.
That was the kids, not us.
Mainly Eric.
That was all the
idiots on Instagram.
It was all the kids.
Look, I love both teams. I love the stories of both teams. That I love where one team completely dominated their division, and then the other one had a terrible start. And it wasn't. And if it wasn't for UC Saros and the scoring starting to come back, you know, the Predators made the playoffs, and I think that that's a huge story in and of itself. I personally, I think that the Hurricanes are going to win this in 5 at the very most. I look at the mix of veterans and kids of, Sebastian Aho, Andrei Smechnikov, Vincent Trocheck, Jacob Slavin. Their head coach, Rob Brindamore, is someone I've talked about on this podcast. He captained the team in 2006 who won the Stanley Cup. And they were a dominant team that came out of nowhere. And he's already brought that. He's already brought some huge. It's an intangible thing that you can't even explain. It's his drive, it's his passion for the game. And it's showing in their play. They're super fast. They're super hungry for the puck. Mrazek has a .92, and to your point, Tyler, Mrazek has a .923 save percentage. Reimer has a .906 save percentage, and Nedeljkovic, I can't even explain.
Yeah, that I tried so hard to learn how to pronounce.
Has a damn .932 save percentage. Like it's going to be very, very tough for Nashville to make it out. I think this is one of the more lopsided ones. Although I would love to see. I mean, I don't really care who makes it out. I really like both teams, but I have this place in my heart that I really want to see Carolina make the Stanley Cup final playing the Oilers, because the last time those two teams were in the finals, they were together, and I want some retribution from 2006. I was just a wee lad back then.
2006.
2006. Yep.
Oh, wow.
The future.
It's the future. So I have the Hurricanes in 5, and I think James, I think you could admit. I think you admitted that the Hurricanes are probably going to win, but you'd love to see the Predators win. I'm with you there. I mean, I don't really care. It's just a tough one it's just going to be a tough one for them. Going on to the other battle in the Central, the Battle of Florida. For the first time in playoff history, the 2nd seed Florida Panthers are taking on the 3rd seed Tampa Bay Lightning, these reigning Stanley Cup champion from last year. Eric, why is Florida going to win this series?
Well, first off, so far this has been the most exciting series. Just pretty much a full barn of fans, big hits, fights, and lots of goals.
Unbelievable.
All that we saw yesterday. One thing though, do you think that first goal should have been called back from Florida?
Yeah. So here's the thing. I was all over the place saying, "Oh, there's no way they can call that back." And Stan Bennett did make a push against the pad. It's tough, but I saw the angle, and it probably should have been called back. It was the right call. It's tough though. It's a tough
they just didn't blow the whistle. That's what's fucked.
True.
They should have blown the whistle.
True.
But either way, Florida will get it done because of their head coach, Quenneville, who was the coach of the fucking Chicago Blackhawks in their era of dominance. He got 3 cups with them. He's turned around this entire team. They look exciting. They look like a fast-paced, jump-the-gun type of team, kind of like the Blackhawks. Their defense seems pretty solid, except they got caught slipping in the very last minute of the game yesterday and ended up losing. But it's going to be like a battle every game. I feel like they seem to have way more energy last night. I feel like they outplayed Tampa.
I
or
agree.
at least provided more energy on their side of things. But that was just game 1, and it seems to be exciting. It's going to go 7 games, and Florida's going to pull it off.
Love it. Alex, why are the Tampa Bay Lightning, the reigning Stanley Cup champions, going to beat their state peer in the Florida Panthers?
Yeah. At the beginning of the season when we talked about the most complete teams in hockey, this is the team we talked about.
Yep.
You can say whatever you want about Tampa's handling or whatever you want to call it of Nikita Kucherov and this kind of bullshit ticky-tacky rule they've used to stay under the cap space. But he's back. He scored 2 goals last night. His first game since game 5 or however many games they won last year. I think it was 5. Stamkos, Vasilevsky. This team is incredibly deep. They have their 2 best forwards back. You just said they got outplayed by Florida and they still won. I just think this team has too much depth, too much experience. And I mean, Kucherov's he had a hip surgery. He's, healthy, a top 5 player in the league. He has been skating for a month and practicing with the team for 2 weeks. He's probably fine. And they just got a completely healthy, completely fresh Nikita Kucherov. Brutal for the Florida Panthers, who had an incredible season. But Tampa is just too good and too deep. I think I have them winning in 6.
Okay.
Also, because I want it to go long.
Yes, we all want this to go long, guys. If last night was indicative of how the series is going to go, it's going to be the best series in the entire first round. Look, this one's tough. I mean, you like you said, Alex, this is the reigning Stanley Cup champion. This is who I've been talking about is the most complete team in the NHL, or at least one of the most complete teams in the NHL. So there's not really much I can say to that other than the fact, say more to them other than the Lightning played 56 games and won 36 in 2021. Vasilevsky started 42 of those games and won 31 of them. If he doesn't win the Vezina, there's something wrong. He was absolutely incredible. That being said, Florida had such a wicked run this year. I mean, there was a point halfway through that they hadn't strung 2 losses together. They were following every loss up with a win, which to me is huge. That is indicative of a team that can really handle the pressure and turn it around when, they don't let those losses get them down. They just move on. And that's the sign of an experienced playoff team. And they acquired Sam Bennett from Calgary in the trade deadline. And Sam Bennett had problems up in Calgary. He just couldn't find his stride. But Sam Bennett in the playoffs is one of the best hockey players I've ever seen. It's something that is mystical. Like he's terrible in the regular season, but once he gets to the postseason, he's a different guy. And in fact, he was such a big part of the game last night that he got suspended the next game, which could be fucking huge for them because he was involved in every single scuff, every single goal. It felt like he got his goal taken away. I mean, he's just all over the place. So I think Tampa should be watching out for him. That being said, I do have Tampa winning in 7, but I really want Florida to win.
We didn't even mention Victor Hedman, who's the best defenseman in hockey. But here's the thing: that kind of comes far for the course. But Victor Hedman did not have he kind of struggled this season. He didn't have that great of a season relative to his normal. And they're still this good, and they're still winning when they're being outplayed. Like you're absolutely right. They're going to be such a force for Florida. But I really would love Florida to beat Tampa because it's been so many years that Florida's been the punching bag, the punching bag of Tampa Bay, and it's about time they got there. So we'll see how it goes. So
moving on to the Honda West. The Honda West, the Avs ended up first, followed by the Vegas Golden Knights. Minnesota ended up in third, and St. Louis Blues were by far the worst team to make in my opinion, to make the playoffs and got that fourth spot. We all had the Avs getting first, and we were all right on that. Most of us had Vegas getting that second spot. Alex, you had the Blues getting that second spot. And then all of us had the Blues getting the third.
I was trying to be different, you know.
Alex, you had them getting second, and then all of us except Tyler were wrong on that fourth spot. Tyler, you hit Minnesota, baby. You hit Minnesota, even though they did better than you expected. James, I know that it's just you had the Ducks getting didn't happen. Even funnier. I had San Jose, and they were worse. So
they were worse than the Ducks. No, I think the Ducks
it was close. It was fucking close. It was a battle for the last spot. And then the King, Alex and Eric, you both put the Kings in there, and they actually made a good push to, in that second, 2/3 part of the season. They just kind of fell short toward down the run, but we're going to get into it. So Colorado, first seed Colorado is taking on the 4th seed St. Louis Blues. James, why are the Avs going to beat the St. Louis Blues?
I think plain and simple, they're one of the best teams in the league. They're a favorite to win the Stanley Cup. I mean, like going to the season all the way through, they haven't really slipped up one time. I think we all agree that whoever took that 4th seed in the Honda West would be trash and not go anywhere anyway. So there you go. The 1st seed's playing the 4th seed. 4th seed's not going to go anywhere. It doesn't matter who it was. It could have been any of those teams you just mentioned. They weren't going to make it past the first round. There's no way. Top of that, Grubauer is having a hell of a year. 922 save percentage. He had 7 shutouts over 40-plus games. And then also, they have scoring all the way around. They have scoring from their forwards and also their defense. Cale Makar has 44 points in 44 games. Sam Girard has 32 points, and Devin Tays has 31. I mean, scoring is everywhere. Their goaltending is good. Very complete team.
Yeah, they are absolutely disgusting. Eric, how are the Blues going to pull this off?
Well, first off, that Bruins game already just ended. But they just showed, because we missed the first 10 minutes of this Blues Avs game. Landeskog dropped the gloves in like the first 2 minutes.
Oh,
so like
the captain.
Your captain's dropping the gloves right away to just hype the team up. That's not a good sign for the Blues. But Blues, fuck the Blues. They're another team, though, that has the squad, the coach, and the goalie who have all gotten it done only a few years ago. Like James described earlier with the Predators, like these guys know what it's like to ramp up the intensity at the right time. It seems almost like they got nothing to lose. Like they barely got this spot. Now they're like, oh shit, we're in the playoffs. We're against another thing that Alex mentioned, the biggest curse of hockey, the President's Trophy. The Avs were the best team in the season. You always see that end up turning into the worst thing that could happen for you once the playoffs come around.
Why? What makes it the worst thing? Like what happens to the team?
It's a curse.
Present?
It's like a curse. Like it's just
they
like
don't make it out of the first round. Like what's going on?
Yeah, they usually get first rounded or they just don't pull it off. And it's like it's kind of the opposite. That's why the NHL is just so much better than the NBA. You'll never see the first seed team in the NBA. You're not going to see the Nets lose first round to the Hornets. You're not going to see. Maybe hopefully you'll see the Jazz lose first round to somebody, but it's more common in hockey, and it just seems to happen all the time with the President's Trophy winner. It doesn't happen all the time. But this year it might happen to the Avs, and that's why the Blues may win the series.
Just statistically, it's been bad. So, yeah, I think it's very hard for the St. Louis Blues. I'm going to keep this very simple. Whatever James said about all those points, absolutely right. Cale Makar is a Norris Trophy contender. He might even win it this season. Nazem Kadri has been a big part of the depth up front. Their power play is amazing. They have the league's best Corsi, league's best expected goals, so their advanced stats are there. And the Blues barely made the playoffs. So if we're talking about a huge disbursement in skill level, this is so far. Like I have Colorado in 4. I don't know how I don't even know if Blues are going to even get a game. which is a bold statement because
get a goal. You should say that instead. That's even bolder.
Oh, they'll get it. I mean, they'll get a. I'm not going to say that, but they're going to get. They're going to get. They're not even going to win a game. So there's just no way. All right, moving on to the very, very intriguing series between the second seed Vegas Golden Knights and the third seed Minnesota Wild. Alex, why is Vegas going to win this series?
Okay, so first off, I looked it up. Out of the 34 times the President's Trophy has been handed out, 8 times have they won the Cup. 8 out of 34, not a good percentage, and it hasn't happened since 2013.
And 2 years ago, we saw the President's Trophy Tampa Bay Lightning, who had a league like a historic
all time,
got swept by the 8th seed. So
so that's what that is for the Vegas Golden Knights. I just said it with Tampa. They're probably the deepest team in hockey, and they definitely have the best goaltending tandem. That's what I wanted to say. The Flower and Robin Leonard are an amazing tandem. Marc-Andre Fleury kept them in that game last night until he literally just couldn't hold it any longer. It was like he was trying to hold a shit in, and eventually that sphincter opened, But why? And the goaltending is my main reason why, even though they did drop game 1, I think Vegas will move on. Those two guys can carry this Vegas Golden Knights team all the way to the Cup final. They have the only worry I have, and we saw this happen last year in the playoffs. Their scoring just stopped. They just stopped scoring, even though I believe they had the best goal differential this year. And then they got shut out game 1 of the playoffs again. So I'm not sure what's happening with Vegas, but they're not the President's Trophy winner, so that should be good news for them. But Carlson, Mark Chasseau, Pat Chiaretti, Mark Stone, Alex Tuck, these guys, they can score. They have good defense. They're incredibly deep. They should be able to take care of the Minnesota Wild, but this feels like a trap series to me a little bit.
Love it. Tyler, why are the very surprising and fun Minnesota Wild team going to upset the Vegas Golden Knights?
Kirill the Thrill. This kid has absolutely come out of nowhere and just rejuvenized this Wild franchise. I mean, a lot of people, the funny nickname they used to have for the Minnesota Wild was the Minnesota Mild, because they were boring. They really didn't play exciting hockey, kind of like, Islanders style, just defense. But they never had this exciting player that can be a playmaker and make a difference. Kirill Kaprizov is that player for the Minnesota Wild. He just gives this team so much life and so much excitement. That's why his name is Kirill the Thrill. Also, the Minnesota Wild 5-2-1 against the Knights this season. They won game 1. For whatever reason, it seems like the Wild know how to beat the Vegas Golden Knights, which a lot of other teams in the NHL don't know how to do. So as Alex mentioned, this is probably a trap series for the Golden Knights. I think there's going to be a few upsets here in the first round, and I think this is a really good one to watch. I think the Wild have as good a chance of anyone as anyone to take down the Golden Knights.
Yeah. In terms of the thorn in the Vegas Golden Knights ass, it's definitely been Minnesota. They have absolutely had them. They beat them in the series, and they're the only team that Vegas struggled with, and which is very interesting. I do have Vegas going on. I actually have Vegas winning the Stanley Cup. That's my pick for the ultimate winner. However, I think that this one's going to be one of the tougher series. I think their first 2 series are they're insane. If they can get through them unscathed, I think they have a good shot. Otherwise, if they go the distance, their team's going to be beat up. Alex, to your point, they need to find out their scoring in the postseason. They have to, or else there's just no way. Because Cam Talbot's been playing pretty damn well, and if Cam Talbot plays even a fraction of how well he's done this season, Vegas is going to struggle. And Kaprizov, to your point, Tyler, has just been absolutely fantastic. I do have Vegas winning, but it's going to be a hard fought battle for that spot. So I see Vegas and Colorado playing each other next series. I think most of us do, except Tyler. Which is fair. But I think either way, you're going to get a damn good Western Conference champion, any way you slice it. Now moving on to the Scotia North, the Canadian division, my division. Toronto took the first spot with Edmonton taking the second spot. Winnipeg took the third spot, and Montreal barely hung on for that fourth spot. Everyone had either the Habs or the Leafs getting the first two spots, except Eric had Canucks getting the second spot, which we were way wrong. Most of us, except Tyler, had the Canucks making the playoffs, at least third spot, and they just absolutely shat the bed. Tyler, you had the Flames making the playoffs, which was very close. Which was close. None of us had Winnipeg, except Eric had Winnipeg sneaking in, and they were a surprise team. I did not have the Oilers making the playoffs, but James and Tyler did. And the Oilers were right there with Toronto towards the end. It was quite fun to watch on my end. Looking at that first series, we have the first seed Toronto Maple Leafs taking on the fourth seed Montreal Canadiens. Alex, why are the Leafs going to beat the Canadiens this series?
Yeah, unfortunately for the Canadiens, they've just fallen off a cliff. And I think going into the season, our biggest worry with Toronto was goaltending. We really weren't sure what we were going to get out of Freddie Anderson, and then Soup Can Sam himself, Jack Campbell, showed up and just fucking killed it. I think he went like 10-2 or some stupid thing. He has helped this Toronto team turn its goaltending season around, because Freddie Anderson was really with a weak spot. Tavares, Matthews, Marner, that's a dirty three right there. I just think the scoring ability of the Toronto Maple Leafs is going to be too much. Carey Price is not the Carey Price of old. You just said it. The Canadiens barely even held on with the Canucks, who had COVID, the Flames, who just shat the bed, and the Senators of all teams. Like, the Habs should have been easily in this. And I just think Toronto has too much scoring. Their defense is also almost underrated. I think Jakey Muzzin can get after it. Morgan Riley can get after it. I just think Toronto's going to have too much scoring. And honestly, I really just want to see a Toronto-Edmonton series, because either way, it will be fun to watch the trade and either be very excited or cry. And I can't decide which one I want more.
Fair enough. James, you really love this Habs team. They were a roller coaster team, and I've said that like 5 times on my power rankings, I feel like. Why are the Habs going to upset the Leafs?
I think that we're all a victim of recency bias. So the Habs started off strong and then did really bad and then did well again. And then we're hit with a plethora of injuries that consisted of Carey Price and Brendan Gallagher. Like, Carey Price is their veteran leader on ice and off ice. If he's not on ice, that spells trouble. Then you're like, oh yeah, but Jake Allen was doing well. He was doing well in a backup role. Given the number one netminder role, he did not do well. The dude did awful. He did terrible. And on top of that, like I had mentioned, Brendan Gallagher went down too. He is, I think, the biggest glue guy that the Canadiens have to offer. He's not only does he hold the team together, but he also produces. I mean, as a whole, and I've watched a lot of Canadiens games, they are a completely different team when he is on the ice. And you can't even explain it. I don't even know hockey that well, but I can tell that. So getting Carey Price and Brendan Gallagher back, that's going to help that team be right back to that middle portion when they're hot again. I mean, this last couple of weeks, Carey Price and Brendan Gallagher haven't played for like 3 weeks or a month. It's been a long time since they've been on ice, and it's going to be a different looking team come playoffs when they're back on there. And on top of that, Cole Caulfield, he's that spark plug. He's a prospect. He's young, but he's fast. He's that spark plug that will get this team going. So it's a perfect mix of veterans and young guys to help this team propel forward.
Yeah. Montreal to me is just they're just too inconsistent. And I think they just lost their scoring touch down the stretch. Although they have a lot of great talent. And the thing is, Mark Bergevin, the GM there, spent so much money to be in a position where this is probably Montreal's easiest way to the Stanley Cup final, because they don't have to play Boston. They don't have to play Pittsburgh. They don't have to, Tampa Bay. They don't have to deal with those teams, but they do. But I just think that they kind of lost it. I personally, as I've said this, I don't trust Carey Price, but I've been wrong in the past about him. The Leafs made great moves in the offseason in the trade deadline. They got tougher, they got stronger, they got good leadership, they got lots of veterans. I still question their ability to handle adversity, and there's historically a terrible team in the playoffs, especially the first round. So I would not be shocked if Montreal won this division or won this series. But I do believe that Toronto will come out. I think that their demons will be slayed, at least in the first series. And personally, to Alex's point, I really want another chance at Toronto because we had a series there in the middle of the season that we got completely, smashed, and it completely turned our season around for the good or for the better after. So we'll see how that goes. I do have Toronto winning the series though. Finally, my second seed Edmonton Oilers against the third seed Winnipeg Jets. Tyler, why are the Oilers going to make it out of this series?
Yeah, so your Oilers, I like this team a lot. The way that they've been playing, especially lately. I think they're finally kind of showing their full potential. Of course, we said that before, and I know you know all too well. Once playoffs comes around, it's just for some reason things don't seem to go as planned. But I think this one's going to be a little different. Mike Smith is having a stellar season. I think that's one player that a lot of people aren't talking about on the Oilers. Obviously, McDavid and Draisaitl are the two-headed monster, except for James. Yeah, you have mentioned Mike Smith before. So sorry, but everyone else as a whole, the hockey world as a whole, Mike Smith is going to be the most important player. I think he's the X factor for this Oilers team. If he can play the way he's been playing, I don't see why the Oilers can't come out of the North Division as champions going into the Final Four. I like this Oilers team a lot. As good as Hellebuck is, I think that the Jets defense isn't that great. And I think the Oilers offense will just overwhelm them. I think they're going to overwhelm Hellebuck and the Jets. I think they're going to win this series. Like I said, I like the way the Oilers are playing. I like the team that they look. And I said, like, as you mentioned, this division is not that strong. So I think that they'll advance, I think, 2 rounds at least, if not more.
I like that. Eric, why is Winnipeg going to beat my Oilers?
Because how can we trust the Oilers? How can we not expect them to do what they've been doing the past few seasons of the McJesus and Draisaitl era, which is lose and not go far? But you got to also look at Winnipeg's goaltending. Hellebuck will stand on his head, 2.58 GAA with a .916 save percentage. Like, if anything is going to help you somehow, some way against McJesus and Draisaitl, it's going to be Hellebuck. I think also they have a better defensive category over the Oilers. They got 2.54 goals against per game. And their power play actually isn't too bad. They're only 9 less power play goals compared to the Oilers. So it's not like they're like way out of this. It's going to be a battle. I actually do really want to see Oilers Leafs though, and like be with you in person to watch those games. Like, so I am hoping for that, but I think it's going to be more of a dogfight of a series than we think.
Yeah. An Edmonton-Toronto series is something that I think everyone's salivating over. I'm salivating over it because you only ever would see this in a Stanley Cup final in a normal year. Look, the Jets really struggled against the Oilers. The Jets did very well against, and Connor Hellebuck in particular did very well against every other team except the Oilers. The Oilers absolutely shredded him with a 3.96 goals against average in those 10 games. They just got absolutely shredded. McDavid had, I don't know if you guys, I know you followed him, and I obviously followed him all season. He had the greatest individual season we've seen in a long time. I mean, he did something that I don't think. Look, if he didn't score a goal, he'd still get second in points this season. Just put it that way. That's absolutely incredible. He is the undoubted. He will get the unanimous MVP. If he doesn't, again, I think that's insane. And I'm not trying to say this as a huge Oilers fan. It's just the truth. I think this is going to be a hard fought battle, though. I don't think Edmonton is out of the woods with Winnipeg, because even though Winnipeg struggled with them this season during the regular season, things can change in the postseason. Things are different. So I'll be honest, I'm scared, but I'm excited to finally see some Oilers playoff games. We didn't really get to see it last year because of the stupid bubble. We lost in that miserably. But guys, that is what I have for the setup for the first round. I know it was a long time, but there's a lot to go over, but it's going to be fun. Buckle up.
Tradon, should we all give our cup picks?
Yeah, I want everyone to give their cup pick. So I have Vegas winning the cup this year. James.
Abs.
Okay. Alex.
I have the Hurricanes beating the Avs.
Okay. Tyler.
I got Vegas beating the Hurricanes.
Love it. That's who I have in the finals there. Eric.
Yeah, I have Vegas beating the Hurricanes also.
Awesome.
In 7 games.
Any 3 of those teams, I think, even you could throw in Tampa. I mean, it's pretty much you could pick any of those 4 teams. You'd be right there. So that is the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Yes, a nice meaty segment, a good 45 minutes there spent, but it was much needed. No, it was much needed because, it's already started up and it's good. We're keeping the fans in the loop with everything. We're going to take a quick break and right when we come back, we will keep the fans in the loop with the NBA playoffs with Alex's segment. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. We just kept you in the loop with the NHL playoffs. Alex is going to keep us in the loop with the NBA playoffs because they begin tomorrow.
Yeah, they do begin tomorrow. I have to give a shout out to James for hosting my NBA segment last week since I could not make it because I was playing golf. And then, no, I was not playing golf. And then also, fantasy-wise, your daddy won. Daddy Alex took it home. James, you put up a fight. I would have been really upset if somehow you'd beat me because you got LeBron James in the second to last week of the season.
Okay, hold up. I got some shit to say about that.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Garrett French is never invited to this league again because that motherfucker dropped all of his best dudes and you 2 white boys just picked them up. Like, you took Sabonis and then Tyler picked somebody else, and I was like, "There's no way." Sabonis put up an easy 50 to 70 points per game, and I was like, "That's so stupid, man." I picked up nobody, and then later on, Tradon dropped Drew Holiday, and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna try and get this guy." But then Jose's bitch ass took him, and I'm like, "Jose, you're not even what are you doing, man?
He's not even playing.
You're going for $20. I'm going for 140, and you gonna take him? Come on, bro." But I lost, is what it is. Yeah.
Okay, 100%. I agree with you. Like Tyler and I were talking about this. After he dropped everybody, I was like, dude, that's kind of bullshit. And then I was like, well, fuck, someone else is probably gonna do it, so I'm gonna do it.
That was my line of thinking as well.
Not the greatest, most legitimate line of thinking, I will say, but I did have the best team all year. I might have lost, but I'm not too upset about it because I did win. But I do agree with you. It kind of makes it feel like he didn't make the playoffs, and then he had a little sad pouty face, and then just dropped all his players because he got upset. So Garrett, I don't know who you are, but that was a pretty weak move. Okay, let's move on to the play-in tournament. So a little bit less than Tradon's because we only have to cover 8 teams total. And there's 4 of the other guys. So they each get 2. We figured that math out pretty easy.
Math.
Math. Okay, so we're going to start in the East because those games start tomorrow. So the 9-10 seed matchup, which in a realistic NBA season, these teams would have not made the playoffs. These are the last 2 out, as you would say. But we got the Charlotte Hornets and the Indiana Pacers. Let's start with the 10 seed Hornets. Eric, what can the Hornets do out of this 10 seed, and why will they win? Can they get out of the play-in tournament? That's gonna be the question for all of you guys. So,
first off, they have the best announcers in the league, and I'd say this probably like every podcast before we start recording, but everyone needs to go check out like SportsCenter or Bleacher Report's Instagram and just look for like a Hornets clip, and you'll find like a bunch of them. They just hype up every play. It's great. But on another note, LaMelo, it's his first year. Everyone said, they don't think he's going to be like Lonzo, another bust. He's way better than Lonzo, as I said, like in the second episode. And now he gets playoff experience. He's going to be playing with guys like Terry Rozier, who's, won some playoff series before with the Celtics. They got a young Hornets squad. They got nothing to lose. All season they've been playing nail-biter games. They're winning, close games, beating good teams. I think they're just going to treat it like another game, one game at a time, literally, and they're going to find a way to take care of business. I think they win this game. We'll see who they would play next after that, but they got to just go one game at a time.
Yeah, so I probably should have said this beforehand, but the 9 and 10 seed games, whoever loses is out. Whoever wins plays the loser of the 7-8. We've already talked about it on the podcast. We have our own personal feelings about it, but it's here, so we're gonna go for it. Okay, and then so the Hornets are taking on Sabonis, my boy, apparently, and the Indiana Pacers, who had probably one of the most disappointing seasons, looking at their roster before the season started. But they're the 9 seed. It is what it is. James, the Pacers, same questions.
Eric said that the Hornets have nothing to lose, and that's not helping them. Because they're going to go out there and be like, oh, yeah, we made it super far, way farther than we thought. So, I mean, let's just play. And as you had mentioned, the Pacers having a disappointing season. They have that much more to play for. They want to fix the mistakes they made during season. And they came into this season with a long playoff aspirational run. That's not happening right now. They're fighting for their life. They're trying to make it into the playoffs right now. They have a lot more to fight for, and that passion, that intensity is going to drive them farther. On top of that, Malcolm Brogdon's back. He's been gone for a while. Hayward for the Hornets, he's out, and he's going to continue being out. And with that comes a lot of the Hornets playoffs hopes. LaMelo, as you had mentioned, is good, but he's not back to what he used to be pre-wrist injury. He's putting up subpar numbers ever since he's been back. Sabonis, on the other hand, Alex's boy, has been on fire. The dude averaged a triple-double in the month of March. And the Hornets as a whole, they've lost the last 5. They don't look good. They're in a slump right now. It's the wrong time to be slumping. How far can the Pacers go? I think they beat the Hornets. If the Celtics move on to the second round of that play-in, they'll beat Boston. If the Wizards move, they'll lose to the Wizards. Overall, if they make it to the actual first round of the playoffs, they're going to lose to the Sixers.
Yeah, the Pacers, Brogdon, Sabonis, Karis LeVert, those are 3 all-star caliber players. I think I as much as the Hornets are super fun to watch, and I'd love to hear their announcers more, I just think Indiana has too much scoring, too much experience. And yeah, I think the Pacers will move on from this game and then face either the Boston Celtics or Tyler's Washington Wizards, who I know you guys talked about it last week, but Tyler, they made it into the 8 seed. They would have been an actual real life playoff team this year after we continually shat on them. So the Washington Wizards are the 8 seed. The Boston Celtics are the 7 seed. So same question, Tyler, apparently you're Washington Wizards at this point.
Yep.
Can they beat Boston, or if they lose, can they get out of this play-in tournament? What do you got?
Yeah, abracadabra, motherfuckers. Wizards doing their thing. I told you. Called it. It feels good. But yeah, so Wizards finished the season 17-6, one of the hottest teams in the NBA. They're coming in on an absolute tear.
Right
So the Wizards are pretty. I think they are the worst defensive team in the NBA. However, they are very good at keeping really good pace. So they actually have the number 1 pace in the NBA in terms of shots per game. And, shooting percentage wise, not that good either. They just put up a fuck ton of shots and they end up, winning. So I think against this Boston team, I think that they can win against the Boston Celtics. And I think that they will. Bradley Beal, we talked about him. You guys talked about if he can carry this team. I think he will. In the 3 games he's played against Boston this season, he scored 41, 35, and 46 points. So obviously Bradley Beal is the key to the success of this Washington Wizards team. I kind of like the matchup. I don't think the Celtics are playing very motivated, very great basketball right now. I think the Wizards are playing very well. I think that they're just going to run them down. And I think Bradley Beal is going to put up at least 40 points, and the Wizards will take that 7th spot. After that, I think they have no chance of advancing. The top of the Eastern Conference is just so good. There's no way the Wizards can outpace one of those top teams for a 7-game series. But I like them in this playing round against the Boston Celtics.
Do you still think that Bradley Beal is going to put 40+ points a night, playing 80% with a messed up hammy?
It's his last. It's potentially one of the last games of the season. He's going to go all in. He may not put up 40, but if he puts up mid-low 30s, and Mr. Triple Double does his thing, I still think they have a pretty good shot.
Does he get a triple double in this game?
Does Beal get a triple double in this game?
No, Westbrook.
Does he? Yes, I think he does.
Okay.
You can't. You can't.
That's a given at this point.
He does that.
He averaged triple double
by a
season.
free throw. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
That he misses. Yeah.
That would suck.
Yeah, that's probably part of the reason why the Wizards shoot so much is because Russell Westbrook can't. So he has to do it a lot to get his points.
True.
Okay. The 7 seed, probably one of the most disappointing teams. Eric, you nailed it when we talked about this a couple weeks ago. The Celtics are going to end up in the 7 seed, and they're there. They are going through some injuries for sure, but Tradon, the Celtics, what can they do? Same business.
Deploy Jason Tatum. That's really it. He played in 64 games. He turned his 4th year in the league, and into quite a season. He averaged 26.4, 7.4, and 4.3 in nearly 36 minutes per game. He had some silly, crazy splits. He was shooting the ball very well. He had a very solid season, and he's going to bode well as the home team, as the hosting team, because he shot better from better in the Garden. So I think that he's really going to have to step up if they're going to have a chance, because if not, then they're not going to make it. All that said, the Celtics are going to lose. Celtics are going to lose. They'll be lucky to win that second play-in series. Bradley Beal is amazing. He's not 100%. That doesn't matter. He's still going to eat him up. The Celtics are fucked. That's all I have.
Big Celtics guy.
They're a team that's playing uninspired basketball. They're playing a team. They are a team that's declining while playing a team that is ascending. That is not where you want to be. I have no faith in the Celtics. Zero. They're done.
I agree with you, Tradon. You want to be coming into the postseason playing well. They're not playing well. Their second best player, Jaylen Brown, got hurt in the last week. He's out. Jason Tatum has been amazing, but he did have a pretty gnarly bout of COVID and has to take a pump from an inhaler before every game now. I actually think somehow the Washington Wizards are going to win this game, and they will be the 7th seed. Washington Wizards are going to be the 7th seed.
They're playing so much better basketball. I mean, just Celtics are done. And guess what? I was supposed to really back them up. Like, that was my job. Like, how could I do that? How could I do that?
It now feels like we've talked so much shit about the Celtics that they'll win because it's us. Like, as a collective group, yeah. I technically agree with both of you guys, since Tyler picked the Wizards to win this game and Tradon just shat on Celtics. So I think the Wizards move on, and I actually think the Pacers will be that 8 seed. Personally, I don't think either one of those teams realistically has a shot. Like Tyler mentioned, the top 3 seeds in the East are just nasty. So good luck to whoever comes out of that in the East. It's going to be a very tough road to handle. So those games are tomorrow. The Celtics game and the Wizards are at 9 o'clock Eastern, and then the Pacers Hornets is at 6:30 Eastern. Probably turn that one on at work. Moving over to the West. So the West plays on Friday. Same thing. We'll start at the bottom. The San Antonio Spurs are the 10 seed, and they're playing Ja Morant and the Memphis Grizzlies, the 9 seed. I would say, difference in experience for sure between this Spurs franchise and the Memphis Grizzlies franchise, just a little bit. But we'll start with the Spurs. We're going to go right back to Tradon. He's going back to back. What can the Spurs do as the 10 seed?
Yeah, look, this matchup's interesting because it's old school, right? Like both teams suck from three, so this is like old school basketball. They drive the hoop, they take the shots from inside. That's like old fashioned basketball, and I think that what they're going to have to do is just continue. They're playing with house money at this point. I think that they're an inexperienced team. And they just got to lean on the fact that, hey, like we're here and we are just going to have to fight. I don't think they have a chance of beating either the Lakers or the Warriors, whoever loses that. So, I think that they're going to have to lean on Greg Popovich. You guys talk about him all the time. You guys pump his tires like crazy, like he's the greatest coach. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know basketball, but it sounds like you guys are damn right. And that means a lot. I mean, an experienced coach can go a long way, especially in the game of basketball. I've seen it. I would argue that was a large reason why, besides Kawhi, I think that Nick Nurse was a big part of the Raptors win and Raptors run. He's a good coach, and I think he did some great things with them. And I think that you see the same type of thing here, even though Popovich is clearly the better coach. So they have that going for him. You could say that Memphis inexperience is going to help San Antonio. I think they're both inexperienced, so that's a tough matchup there. I think at the end of the day, they're going to fight for it, and it's going to be old. It's going to be, like I said, old school basketball, and I think they may be able to squeak out a win, but then they'll turn around and lose to hopefully the Lakers.
Thanks for that little jab right at the end there, Tradon. That was great. On the flip side, Eric, the Memphis Grizzlies, what are they doing? How they do?
They actually remind me of a little bit better version of the Hornets on the West side. They got a young, talented superstar, Ja Morant. He only continues to get better and look more confident. Once again, a team that has nothing to lose but everything to gain. It could be a trap game versus the Spurs. Other guys like Grayson Allen have been good glue guys. They got some good glue guys on that team coming into their own. And similar to the Hornets as well, they've been battling most games out this season and beating good teams. They beat the Lakers, I believe, once or twice. They beat the Clippers a couple times this year. They've beaten pretty strong teams. So it's not going to be anything out of the ordinary for them to have a tough game. And, one game at a time. I don't really think they're going to win, but I wouldn't just say like they're going to get mollywopped. I think it'll be a close one.
Yeah, I think this is going to be one of those games that if you're not an avid NBA fan, you'd be like, why would I ever watch this? But it could be one of those games where there's two mediocre teams and it is really entertaining. Like it could come down to a final shot. And if it does, I think you've got to trust Popovich and the Spurs in that with just his expansive coaching knowledge. So I have a really tough time. I kind of want to pick the Grizzlies as almost an upset, even though they're the higher seed. But I think I'm going to go with the Spurs. I think DeMar DeRozan is having almost an unheralded, quiet season that people just aren't really talking about. The Spurs do have some scoring depth. You're right, Tradon. I'll drive all the way down to San Antonio and I will pump Popovich's tires with a hand pump if you want. He's probably the greatest coach or top three greatest coaches in NBA history. I just think the Spurs, they're just a better team. I mean, I had them in my top 10 in my power rankings at one point this year, and the Grizzlies, I don't think ever topped like number 14. So I'm going to go with the Spurs. It kind of almost doesn't matter what happens in this game because it sort of feels inevitable. Whoever wins is going to lose to whoever loses this next matchup. I think this is easily the best matchup of this play-in tournament. I think it's no one really saw this coming at the beginning of the season for sure. But we have Warriors and we have Lakers. You guys talked about it last week on the podcast. The Warriors are the 8 seed. James, the Warriors, can they beat the Lakers and become that 7 seed?
No, they can't. But see, the thing is, you had asked the question about how far can they go, so I'm going to continue running with this here.
Yeah, go for it.
So here's what they're going to lose to the Lakers, but they're going to beat
Okay.
the Spurs because the Spurs are going to beat the Grizzlies, and then they're going to take that 8 seed and play the Jazz. They will beat the Jazz and play the Clippers in round 2. That's my prediction, and here's the reasons why. Steph, when he's on, he's on. That dude can will his team to victory. It don't even matter if that dude's hitting. He's going to shoot from half court, and you can't even guard it. He's going to make every single one of them. And as of right now, the Warriors are on fire. Like, since April 6th, they've only lost 6 games and only lost 2 in a row one time. And in that time frame, they beat the top teams in the league. They beat the Jazz. They beat the Suns. They beat the Nuggets, the 76ers, and the Bucks. They beat all the best teams in that time frame. And so I think all that momentum and that team chemistry will carry over. They will lose to the Lakers. The Lakers are motivated to win the first game to play the least amount of games possible. LeBron's come out and said it. AD's come out and said it. They're going to do everything in their power to just play that one game and make it to the playoffs and move on. The Warriors, they're okay with losing that first game. And they're going to – that second game, as you said, like it's kind of – they're going to lose. The Spurs or Grizzlies are going to lose no matter what happens there. It's really the 8th seed that will go on to play the Jazz. And that'll be the Warriors.
Okay. I like what you're saying. Tyler, the actual team you actually support, not the Washington Wizards.
Yes.
You're wearing a Kobe jersey, the Lakers. What? Just go for it.
Yeah. So obviously Kobe jersey inducted to the Hall of Fame this weekend. Awesome moment. His wife did a beautiful speech there for Kobe. So I just want to give her a shout out. Kobe, we all miss you. But so moving on to this game, as James mentioned, if Alex Curry is on his game, it's going to be very difficult to beat the Warriors.
Steph Curry.
Alex Curry's the Angels announced like female.
Come on, bro.
That was a
Valley
heck
Sports
of a
West.
pull.
Now I know who you've been thinking about.
Yeah, clearly.
I'm telling Jess.
Steph Curry. Okay, so anyway, the Curry and the Warriors offense has struggled against the Lakers this season. The Lakers' strength is their defense, best rated defense in the NBA. This season, Curry has had a 6% decrease from the field and 8% decrease from 3 against the Lakers. So the Lakers know how to defend Curry pretty well. Now, if they can do that, I don't think that the Warriors have any chance of beating the Lakers. But again, I would say my concern with this Lakers team is obviously their injuries. LeBron, AD, not 100%, and just their overall kind of attitude about everything just seems not where it needs to be. They just seem kind of not very. They kind of seem to be moping. Oh, we're just having to play this stupid playing game. Like I'm not 100%. Like they kind of just seem not motivated at all to win, which to me is a concern. But maybe that's just media playing things up. Maybe the media is trying to tell us that, they're not doing that well. I don't know. It's hard to really say because you're not in the locker room. You don't get a sense of really what it's like unless you're in that locker room. We can only tell what the media is telling us, or what the players are telling us. The Lakers did finish out on a pretty good, I think it was a 4 or 5 game win streak there at the end. So that was a little bit hopeful. I do think that they will win this game. If they are playing, and they're playing up to their potential, I think this Lakers team can go very, very far. I think they can make the finals. But that's a big if. And honestly, I'm not super confident more on the mental side of them more than the actual abilities to do it. We had this Lakers team preseason ranked number 1. They were number 1 for like 3 or 4 weeks. And, they're still more or less the same team. They're just, they've obviously had a lot of, bad injuries. So they're back together, hopefully they can figure it out and, go on a good deep playoff run. I just don't know if their bodies can withstand it or mentally they can withstand it. I'm a little concerned about that.
Yeah. Congratulations, Phoenix Suns. You get the 2 seed and then you get LeBron and the Lakers. Damn, Chris Paul really can't catch a break. Yeah. The Lakers are healthy. Maybe. If they are healthy, they are probably still the favorite to come out of the West, especially with some of the injuries some of those other top teams are going through. I agree with you. I do think that the Lakers will win this game, but Steph Curry is sort of like peak Kobe, peak MJ. You can't really stop him. You can only try to contain him. And Steph Curry is a totally different monster compared to those guys. But I do think the Lakers will come out of it. I think a huge part for the Lakers is also Dennis Schroeder is back. He was out for 10 to 14 days with his, I don't even know if he had COVID or he was just on the COVID protocol list. And the Lakers' depth is still impressive. It's much better than the Warriors' depth. A front court of Andre Drummond and AD is just insane. Again, I think the Lakers can go very far. I think they can win it all, but they're going to have to play peak performance. I agree with you, Tyler. I'm not as confident in them as I was going into the bubble, where I really didn't think a team other than the Clippers had a shot. And, the Lakers almost breezed to the NBA championship last year. The most games they lost was 2 in a series. So it will be a fun play-in tournament. I'm not going to ask you guys who your picks are yet for overall NBA champion. We'll do that next week when we have our normal 8 seeds. But go watch these games. It's a whole new experience for all of us, so it'll be fun. But the NBA playoffs are starting. But that's all I got.
Oh yeah. Like we said earlier, it is the most wonderful time of the year. That's not Christmas time, everybody. That's the time when the NBA and NHL playoffs begin every spring. We're going to take another quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk Tyler's oh damn MLB baseball moments of the past week. Oh damn, it is that time again for Tyler to talk about baseball for his segment. And we're going to hear about the oh damn moments of the week. Right, Tyler?
Eric, don't sound so excited. Okay, calm down. It's going to be okay. We're going to get through it. Just baseball. So first oh damn moment. We talked about Albert Pujols being cut by the Angels last week. He found a new home right up the 5 freeway with the Los Angeles Dodgers. He made his debut tonight. He actually had his first RBI single already ready with the Dodgers. So he's wearing number 55. Big move by the Dodgers. I think it surprised a lot of people. I don't think the Dodgers were a team that a lot of people thought. James, we were talking about this last week. We did not mention the Dodgers a single time. So a little bit of a surprise. For me, it kind of makes sense for the Dodgers. It's like, cool, another great bat. For Albert Pujols, I thought it was a little bit of an interesting move for him. But James, what do you think of that, and why do you think Pujols decided to join the Dodgers?
I think the reason why he decided to sign there is super simple and super easy, and that's he wants to win a ring. The Dodgers give him the best chance to do that. That being said, I don't know why he decided to sign there if his main complaint was playing time. He got released from the Angels after an argument because he wasn't getting enough time, because they didn't want to play. They didn't want him at first every third day. But he goes to the Dodgers, who have some depth at first with Max Muncy and Cody Bellinger when he comes back. And there's no DH spot in the NL. So when is he really going to play when Corey Seager comes back? Is Corey Seager out right now? He's the one that broke sand?
Yep.
Yeah, when Corey Seager comes back and Max Muncy moves back to first, is Albert Pujols really going to play other than a pinch hitter role against lefties late in the game? I don't think he's going to play all that much. So I don't know why he decided to sign there if he wanted to play. I get it. If you want to win, yeah, man, go join the Dodgers and try your best to win, or join the Padres. He had his choice right there. Honestly, I'm confused. But on the flip side, it's going to help the Dodgers out tremendously more than just another bat. I think he brings some extremely good leadership skills, a great locker room presence, and can help batters as a whole. I think I've seen it recently. I don't know if you guys have, but the Angels, since Albert Pujols left, the Angels were like one of the best offensive teams in the American League. Since then, not so much. Since Albert Pujols left, and this is a very interesting fact, Mike Trout has gone 4 for 33. Mike Trout started out a 400-plus batting average before Albert Pujols left. Albert Pujols left, and he's a little bit over 300 right now. Like his batting average has dropped tremendously since his mentor is gone. And I think that mentorship is going to translate pretty well for your Dodgers team. And good job for you guys. But I mean, in conclusion, it's like nobody's going to give him a full-time job anywhere in the MLB. So if you're going to sit the bench, might as well sit the bench on a winning team.
Yeah, I thought I was more surprised for Pujols' end. I was watching his interview today, and the reporters kind of asked that same question. He's like, we thought you wanted more playing time. So what was your reasoning for joining the Dodgers? When clearly they have a as you mentioned, very very good first baseman already, and no DH. So you're playing first base sometimes, not all the time. Pujols, I guess, kind of refuted those reports that he wanted to play more, that he had an argument about more playing time with the Angels. Again, he said, she said, who knows what really happened there. But either way, he's with the Dodgers. I think it might have been also kind of a family decision. I think, his base being in LA. I don't know if he wanted to uproot everything and move to a completely different city. Moving, 30 minutes north, I think is a little bit easier. But who knows? I'm excited to have him. As I mentioned, he already has an RBI hit with us. I think he's going to be a great addition. We could always use better power against lefties. Lefties is one of our Achilles heel. So having a guy that can hit lefties well is going to be good for us. So we'll see how we'll see how he does. But I'm pumped to have him on the Dodgers. I think it'll be very 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 cool. Moving on to my second oh damn moment. The Minnesota Twins are in a tailspin right now. They are not doing very well. They're last in the AL Central, which is impressively awful because the Detroit Tigers are in that division. They have the worst record in baseball. Some of us, I believe, picked them to win the division. Most of us picked them to at least make the postseason. We're standing here. We're approaching the end of May. Tradon, is it panic time in Minnesota? And are their postseason hopes gone already, or do you think they can turn this around?
Oh yeah, they're fucked. That's it. There's nothing. They just let up 16 runs this game, and 16? They needed that fucking game. Like, dude, 16, they're so beyond fucked. It's not even funny. I mean, let's be real. Okay, here we go. Let's look at some stats, shall we? The pitching has been so bad. It's been so bad. They have they have a team ERA of 4.63, which is but let's look at some of these. Let's look at some of this. They have Matt Shoemaker, who is a starter. He has a 6.62. Why don't you make some shoes and get the fuck out of baseball? Because you suck. You got Brandon Waddle. He has 11.25 in 4 games. What the fuck are you doing? The guys in the bullpen are absolutely atrocious. The starting pitchers aren't that much better either. And by the way, they're 0 for 7 in extra inning contests. So if you look at their run differential, they probably should have a better record, closer to the Angels, but they can't win in extra innings. And then they're letting up 16 runs in a game that they need to kind of figure it out to turn it around. Yeah. Before today's game, they had a 2% chance of making the postseason. I think it's a fucking -7 at this point. They're absolute trash. They don't they should be relegated. Get the fuck out.
Damn. Yeah, I agree with you. Not that passionately, but I do agree. I think it definitely is panic time Minnesota. I mean, listen, this American League, there are a lot of good teams that can potentially make it. This is a wide open field, and if you're not in it by now, it's going to be hard for you to kind of come back. Because I mean, there's probably 3 teams in each division that are playoff hopefuls. So if you're not one of those 3 teams, it's going to be tough. And as you mentioned, their pitching is atrociously bad. They got 2 or 3 good, or 1 or 2 good starters, and after that, they really don't have anything.
Oh, but wait, it gets better. After they play the White Sox 2 more times, which they'll probably get throttled. They'll play the Angels twice. That's a couple wins probably. I mean, let's be real. But after that, they got the Indians, who are playing decent baseball. They got the Royals and the Orioles back to back, who are just okay, that's kind of your chance, maybe. But then you go back and you play the Astros, you play the Yankees. I mean, you're so screwed, beyond screwed. It's just so funny how beyond screwed they are.
Yeah, I think a big thing too is, a lot of us did not expect the Indians to be as good as they are. Except for you. You got this thing about, these teams that no one expects to be good and then are doing well.
Okay. Hold on. Time out. Before I don't wait. Are we talking about the Giants yet?
Not yet, but I'll. Yeah.
Okay, we're getting there. Shit, I want to talk about that and shove
Maybe
it up
next week. Maybe next week. But I believe you picked the Indians for a wild card spot. I can't remember, but I know you picked them to finish pretty high in the division, and they're playing very well. They're playing a lot better. So for me, yeah, it's now or never. Twins fans, if you're not going on a run yesterday, it's going to be hard to make the postseason. So yeah, definitely panic time in Minnesota. Not really sure what happened. I think a lot of their pitchers that are doing poor should not be pitching as bad as they are. Kenta Maeda for me is the biggest one. He finished third in AL Cy last year. Looks awful.
You know what even makes this segment better is the fact that you tell me if they're in panic mode during a game like they play today, and then they give up 16 runs. Like that's fucking
perfect
amazing.
timing.
That is the best team in baseball right now, though. The White Sox are the best team.
No, that's
as of
fair.
right now.
That's absolutely fair, but it doesn't matter. You got to fucking win games. They've lost like 5 in a row right now against the Athletics and the White Sox. Yes, they're the 2 best teams in the league. I get that, but come on.
And then, like I said, it's not like we're talking, they're like a 500 club and they're only, 5 or 6 games back in the division.
No,
they're worst record in baseball. There's no team worse than the Minnesota Twins right now, who a lot of people picked not just to make the playoffs, but to win the AL Central. So,
guys, the Pirates are better than the
Twins. That's the Tigers are.
Remember I shit on them
half a game, but still, it's crazy.
Why do I pick the teams that just are terrible? I don't really get it.
Who knows? All right, my third oh damn moment. This is a little bit of a fun one. This is my one screen share I got for you guys. A fan made a pretty incredible catch of an Aaron Judge home run. This happened in Sunday's game against the Baltimore Orioles. They were playing in Baltimore. Classic Aaron Judge mass shot here, deep into left center field. And if you watch closely, if I pause it, if I can point him out, this kid right here in the red shirt.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, I missed that.
Yeah.
I had
no idea what just happened.
Hard to tell. Look at it again.
Oh, clearly.
Here we go. Boom. Pretty incredible catch there. Unfortunately, there's not a slow-mo of the guy, so it's not the best video. But basically, he made the catch no look over his shoulder. Obviously, wearing the glove, he gets the high fives. So I think it's always fun with baseball games to see fans make pretty awesome catches like that. So there's kind of 2 debates going to baseball games in terms of fans and catching home run balls, right? The first one being, are you pro or con bringing your glove to the game? So Eric, I want to ask you, are you a guy that likes to see, grown men using a glove catching a baseball like normal? Or are you one of those guys that'd be like, no, just use your hands. Don't bring your glove. Like that's cheating. Like kind of what's your take on that part?
I think it's cool. For the, more than average baseball fan. I think if I was a kid, when I was a kid, I for sure brought a glove to a game before. But I'm not against grown men bringing baseball gloves to baseball games. I don't think I would, because I don't have one anymore. But
if I gave you one, would you use it?
Yeah. Are you? Yeah, I would.
Buy one for like $10 at Dick's Sporting Goods, dude.
Yeah. Play it again.
Just use your beer cup, man.
Yeah,
that works just as well.
Yeah.
Drink all the beer first, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Or spill it on Tradon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when you first described this to me too, I thought it was like the kid caught it to make it a home run, but it was way out.
Yeah, no, it was crushed. Aaron Judge crushed ball. I personally think I don't have a problem with grown men bringing their glove to a game. I think it's just smart. The point is, as a fan, is to catch the ball, right? If you get one hit at you, the glove increases your chance of doing that, clearly. And a glove does make it easier, but it's still not exactly easy, especially when guys are hitting 110 miles an hour right at you. And you have to, dodge other fans and try and get through it. So it's not easy to catch a ball. A glove helps out. I don't see any problem with it. Obviously, it's cooler if you can do a one-handed grab with your bare hand. That's pretty cool, and that has happened several times. But for me personally, if you want to bring a glove, do it. I think it's great. Second one is, if you're at a game, you're cheering on your home team, whoever that is. If the opposing team hits a home run and you catch that ball, the kind of the tradition is if the opposing team hits a home run, you throw the ball back on the field because you don't want it because it wasn't your team that hit it. Eric, if you caught a home run ball from opposing team, you're at an Angels game, right? And someone hits a home run, you catch it. Are you keeping that ball or are you throwing it back?
I didn't know that's actually tradition, but if the player, it's like a legendary player that's not a dick, I'll give the ball to like a little kid sitting nearby or something. If it's any other player that seems to be a piece of shit, then I'll just try to throw the ball back at him when he's rounding the closest base.
At him?
That has happened
Just right at him, just super accurately with all of my baseball skills and knowledge, just right at him. But yeah, I didn't know that was tradition. That's actually kind of cool.
Yeah, that actually happened once at Fenway Park. I believe it was Aaron Judge, maybe it was Stanton. That was one of those guys hit a home run at Fenway Park, and the fan threw it and actually hit Stanton on his way rounding second base. Incredible throw. And I believe Stanton turned around and was like, "Nice throw." Like that was pretty legit. Absolute cannon. But yeah, I agree with you. I think you keep the ball, or you, like you said, or you give it to a kid. I think it's foolish to throw the ball back. I understand it from a fan perspective. You're upset in the moment. I think depending, like you said, who it was, and the time of the game, maybe you're just so enraged of what happened, you throw it back. Sure, I guess I can understand that. But man, how many times are you going to catch a home run ball? I've never done it. It's one of my dreams to catch a home run ball at a Major League Baseball game. I don't care who hits it. I'm gonna soak in that moment. I'm not throwing.
All right. Okay. I got one for you.
Yeah.
Game 7 of the World Series. You lose off a walk-off and you end up catching that home run ball. You're going to keep that ball?
Yeah, because I could sell it to whoever hit it and I get a lot of money.
Fair.
How much are we talking?
People pay a lot of, if it's a ball like that was a really iconic moment. I mean, you're looking at thousands, hundred thousands of dollars potentially in your pocket. So
I like that.
Keep it, make some money. It's not going to
like
help.
hundreds of thousands of dollars in my pocket.
Right.
But how do you prove though? How do you prove it?
You're on video. What are you talking about?
Okay, I could just go to the store and get a fucking baseball and say, hey, I can switch it out.
They have authenticators.
Yeah, they'll know.
All right.
The Google, okay, cool.
Yeah,
It's like a diamond thing.
Hey, that's fair. That's a fair answer.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to my last oh damn moment. The Oakland A's are in a little bit of a sticky situation with their city. They've been trying to get a new stadium in Oakland. I don't know if any of you guys have been to that stadium, but it's very old. It's probably the stadium in all of American sports that needs to upgrade the most. It's old. It's run down. The Oakland A's have been playing in Oakland since 1968. I'm not sure when the stadium was built, but it was probably around that time.
1968.
Yeah, probably. It was probably older than that. Who knows? I think it was there when they got there. I don't know. But very old stadium. They've been trying to rebuild because they want to stay in Oakland. They have a very good fan base there. However, there's been a little bit of a question mark if that's actually going to happen, if it's going to pass through, the whole politics issue of them being able to raise the money to fund this new stadium in Oakland. If that doesn't happen, the A's have talked about moving cities because they just need a new stadium. Which, anytime a team leaves a city, it's always sad for the fans. It's never a good time. I don't think it's anything anyone wants to do, but sometimes they're forced to do it with certain situations. So Alex, you wanted to talk about this one. You did work for the A's a little bit. You worked at the stadium. So your kind of experiences with OCO a little bit. And then kind of do you want to see the A's move, first of all? And second of all, if they do move, where do you see them relocating to?
Yeah. Okay. So first things first, if it's Carlos Correa or Alex Bregman or Jose Altuve, I'm throwing that ball back and I'm trying to hit them.
Yeah.
Fuck the Astros. That, I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah.
Into the Oakland thing. So yeah, I did work for the A's for a year. I've been to pretty much every corner of that stadium, and yes, it is in desperate need of a rebuild. I believe it's the 5th oldest stadium in baseball after Fenway and Wrigley, and then the 2 SoCal ones. That it's not like the Dodgers and the Angels, but Padres. And I don't want the A's to move. That's first and foremost. I do not want them to move. Oakland has already lost the Raiders and the Warriors in the last 3 years or 2 years. Like, how can you imagine Oakland losing 3 different teams within a decade? That is absolutely brutal. And they left to go to cities that are not, I mean, the Warriors just went across the bay to shiny, spritzy San Francisco, which is actually just poop-filled streets. Fuck San Francisco, it's a dumbass city. And yeah, working for the A's, you're going to go to games and there's 5,000 people there, but they are the most passionate and the smartest baseball fans I've almost ever met. I mean, the Dodgers travel well. The Dodgers have great fans. The Dodgers also have some of the worst fans in baseball. That's not even like, it's just the truth.
Yeah.
Like, I hate half of the Dodgers fans because they're stupid. But A's fans are some of the best in baseball. It's quality over quantity for the A's fans. So I don't want them to move, but this has been a 15-year talk about with the Oakland A's and with the city and with the state. And unfortunately, the way that sports and stadiums work is it is citizens' tax money that will end up funding the stadiums. Obviously, people are hurting after this year-long plus pandemic. It seems like they've had verbal agreements with multiple different stadiums over the last couple of years, and it just hasn't figured it out. It doesn't help that you're in California, where all the laws for things are a lot more stringent compared to if you were in Texas or something. This is Texas. It probably would have been done 10 years ago. So I don't want them to move. I think they're going to, and it's going to be devastating. And I think James actually nailed it in the group text. I think it's Vegas. Nashville would be a really cool spot too. But based off of where the teams are geographically, they can't move a team west to east. They just can't do it. They need more teams on the West Coast. You're already seeing, the Mariners have like the shittiest schedule ever because their closest team is the A's in Oakland, and that's minimum like a 3-hour plane ride. So I think it's Vegas. It could be Portland. I was talking about this with Ashley, and I really like the idea of Vancouver and another Canadian team. I don't know how that would work because all those Vancouver fans are already Mariners fans, and Seattle is, it's right there. But for my A's fans, and I love the A's, I'm a Dodgers fan, and older Dodgers fans and A's fans don't get along, but that was 5 years before I was born, so I don't give a shit. I love the A's. I loved working for them. The stadium's a piece of shit, but it's also super great at the same time because you can get an actual beer for $10 instead of at AT&T or whatever it's called now. We're getting Coors Light for 17 and you get 8 ounces. So I hope they stay in Oakland. I don't think they will, but I think it's going to be either Vegas or Portland where they could end up going.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think anyone wants to see the A's leave, but at the same time, it's just with the situation we're in, I think it's more likely that they will leave. I believe the lease for their current stadium ends in 2024. So maybe you got 3 more years after this, which again, I hope they figure it out. I hope something happens and they stay in Oakland, they get a brand new shiny stadium. And we don't have to be all sad about it. But yeah, it's not looking good right now. As you mentioned, it's been a long going process. They've been trying to get a new stadium forever and just hasn't, for whatever reason, kind of worked out. So we'll stay tuned, and we're obviously going to keep an eye on that. It's probably going to be a long, drawn out process. But hopefully, I think we're all in agreement that we would like the Oakland A's to stay in Oakland. Eric, that's all I got for my Oh Damn Moments of the week. Thank you guys for chiming in on your takes, and looking forward to the next one.
Thank you, Tyler, for another. Blues just scored, by the way. We have a tie ball game in hockey right now.
Dude, don't get excited.
Binnington has been standing on his head like I said he would. And the President's Trophy team is now looking at a loss at the first game, possibly.
Oh
they still have a whole nother period, but yeah. Anyways, when we come back, we're talking who pulled away from the NFL draft with the best and the worst picks when we come back. Welcome back, listeners and fans. We are to our last segment, last but not least. We did talk everything up to the NFL draft, but now James wants to fill us all in on who came out with the best picks in the AFC and the NFC, and who also came out with the worst picks. James, let us hear it.
Yeah, so just like Eric mentioned, the draft was a couple weeks ago, and rookies are now entering minicamp. So a lot of these guys are going into team stadiums and team workout rooms and learning the offense and getting to their teammates. It's an exciting time for fans and teams all around. So we're going to look at who got better and who got worse, who lost and who won. Today, we're going to start with the NFC. Alex, who do you have as a winner in the NFC?
Okay, so in the NFC, I have the winner being the Chicago Bears. They got possibly the second best quarterback in this draft in Justin Fields. They traded up for him, which I did accurately predict, just with the wrong team, but I just wanted to throw that out. Without having to throw away the farm. They didn't trade everything to get him. He could be the future in Chicago for a really long time after they have not had a good quarterback in millennia, I think. And then is their second pick, they got a right tackle who could have been a first rounder who can protect Justin Fields moving forward. I think the Chicago Bears got much better on draft day.
Well, I agree wholeheartedly. Literally all the points you said I had written down in my notes. So I kind of feel like you hacked into my computer and took my notes, but that's cool. Just to reiterate some stuff here, Matt Nagy is a creative head coach. He came from the Andy Reid system. He is good offensively, but never had the quarterback to do what he wanted to do, and now he does. Given Justin Fields will probably sit a couple games before filling in for Andy Dalton, but that time, not rushing him, is going to help him out long term. And the Tevin Jenkins pick, huge fan. A lot of you guys had him going in the first round, but they got him the second. And that's just going to give Justin Fields and Andy Dalton some more time. It's all good stuff. I agree 100%. I think the winner of the NFC is the Chicago Bears. Eric, who do you have?
I have the San Francisco 49ers. Okay, we talked about it. Jimmy G is not the guy. He couldn't get it done. He's had injury issues. A few weeks later, we hear the Niners trade up for a draft pick. All of a sudden, they're getting a new quarterback. They get a quarterback, Trey Lance. He's going to be a good refresh, restart for the Niners. Jimmy G's going to get one game. He's going to lose like 36-3 probably, or sprain his ankle. Like, I don't hope anyone ever gets hurt, but, it's just Jimmy G. And from there, sorry, I'm just looking at this highlight. From there, Trey Lance is going to get thrown right into the mix. He's going to fit well into this offensive scheme, and he's going to learn from this season. He's going to get a lot of good experience, and he's going to be the next future quarterback for them.
See, I think barring injury, I don't think Trey Lance will play until 7 or 8 games in the season. Like I said, barring injury. If Jimmy G does get hurt, then yeah, Trey Lance is getting pushed in there. But this is a complicated system, a complicated offense. Trey Lance hasn't played at a high level. He played NCAA D1, but a low D1. So it's going to be a big test, a big change for him. I mean, I love the pick, but I just don't think they won the draft. Tyler, who do you have?
I got the Philadelphia Eagles.
Of course you do.
Of course, right? Obviously, the number one pick, Devontae Smith. I think that pair with Jalen Hurts, we'll see what happens. But I think it's got potential to be dynamic. I think that was a really good pick. They got a good playmaker there. And I like the picks that they followed up with. Landon Dickerson, their offensive lineman. I think if he can stay healthy, can be a very good O lineman for them. And then they got a cornerback and a running back, Zach McPherson and Kenny Gainwell. I think those are both good picks, potential really good playmakers there. Howie Roseman, not very good at giving high fives, but I thought he did a good job of this draft.
Yeah, they filled up their offense big time. They didn't really care about defense that much. We'll see if that pays off. Yeah. And finally, Tradon, who do you think won?
Who I think won is Chicago, but I don't want to talk about them because Alex already did that. I think a winner, not the winner, but a winner was the San Francisco 49ers. I think that they made the right pick in Trey Lance. I think that he's going to fit better in a Kyle Shanahan offense. On top of that, I like their moves to shore up. I mean, they picked Trey Sermon, they picked Elijah Mitchell, so they're really focusing on the ground game, which is what your Niners are all about. They're about that ground and pound game. The guard and Aaron Banks, the offensive line and Jalen Moore, all those guys are shoring up that line, and they're making it so that that offensive line is going to be strong going forward. They have committed to that game, and I love what they did because it fits exactly what Kyle Shanahan's style is, and I think you guys are in good shape. I would say that Jimmy G is probably going to play. I think to your point, I think he's going to play 8 games. I would not be shocked if he actually ended up playing the whole season if they do very well. I think if they start to struggle, you may see him sooner. But Trey Lance, after Jimmy G takes his leave, is going to fit in perfectly, and you're going to have a very solid team offensively, that fits that style for years to come.
This may surprise you guys, but my favorite pick that the Niners made was not Trey Lance. It was actually the safety out of USC, Talanoa Hufanga. If you guys have watched his tape, if you guys haven't watched his tape, go watch his tape. That guy is electric. He's all over the place. He's passionate. And just hearing his interviews, he sounds like a very decent, nice human being. Huge pick of Talanoa Hufanga, and I want to see him play as soon as I possibly can. So not Trey Lance, but I like him. I like Trey Lance too. Moving on to losers. Alex, who we got losing in this draft in the NFC?
Yeah, it's the Green Bay Packers. We're staying in the NFC North. And, it doesn't really matter what they did, but they didn't pick someone to keep your franchise, the guy who just won the MVP happy, who now wants out of Green Bay. I didn't even look up who they picked, but I knew it wasn't an offensive lineman or a wide receiver. And I was like, that was a mistake. Aaron Rodgers has been asking for this for years. He's one of the all-time greatest quarterbacks. He's been in your locker room for 15 years. He's been asking for this, a wide receiver to pair with Devontae Adams. He won the MVP last year. You can't do it. Green Bay, what are you doing? What are you doing? Green Bay Packers, you done fucked up.
Dude, I love that answer. That was a great answer. Eric, who you got?
I got the Seattle Sea Chickens. They get a wide receiver, Dwayne Eskridge. Russell Wilson, the most sacked quarterback in his last 9 seasons. Yeah, so you need an offensive lineman, protect Russell Wilson, the only guy keeping this team alive since they won that Super Bowl. Draft another wide receiver, I guess, whatever. I don't like him anyway, so it's okay. But yeah, it's no protection for him still. They will remain a similar team, just another wide receiver that can probably catch his passes.
Eric, believe it or not, I agree with you 100%.
I don't believe you.
Seattle Seahawks. The fact of the matter is they only had 3 picks in the entire draft, and they had picks in round 2, 4, and 6. And as you had mentioned, they didn't pick an O-lineman until round 6. Their first pick was a wide receiver. They picked a wide receiver when you have DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett and run a run-first offense. So I feel like Tyler snuck in and made that pick for them, but they just couldn't change it because, Tyler loves his wide receivers. Mm-hmm. I think that was a huge mistake. Tyler, who you got, man?
I also got the Green Bay Packers. I think they were the kind of clear loser of this draft. It was a pretty easy pick. The whole Aaron Rodgers drama is a major issue for them. They didn't pick a wide receiver until the 3rd round, Amari Rodgers. But it's not really going to matter because if the other Rodgers, the more important Rodgers, is gone, you're going to be fucked. So I don't think it was a good draft for them. They got a lot going on. They gotta figure out what's going on with Aaron. But from all reports and what we seeing is he's on his way out. So Green Bay, as Alex mentioned, you done fucked up.
You guys are always on the same wavelength, at least 3 or 4 times a podcast. It's kind of crazy. Tyler, who you got?
You mean Tradon?
Wow.
You're good. Okay. In the NFL, there are a lot of team/quarterback tandems where both parties need each other. I would say that the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, the Patrick Mahomes is that good because of the organization that he's part of. Andy Reid's a huge part of that. Who he's surrounded with is around that. There's not very often that you see a quarterback that is needed more than he needs the team. Does that make sense? Except the Green Bay Packers. There's this particular team like Aaron Rodgers does so well, even though they've given him nothing. They've drafted a cornerback in 2018, a linebacker in 2019, a quarterback in 2020, and another cornerback in 2021. And this guy is having no help. The Green Bay Packers are about to lose Aaron Rodgers, and the era of back-to-back Hall of Famers Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers is going to end, and the Green Bay Packers are going to be fucking terrible. You guys are fucking losers. Get the fuck out.
I love your passion, this podcast. It's all over the place. It's amazing. So much energy. I love it. All right, guys. You guys decide who lost in the NFC, the Packers or the Seahawks. It's up to you. Moving on to the AFC. Who won this draft in the AFC? Tradon. Let's start with you, man.
Yes. So I have the Cleveland Browns. Dude, the Browns are the Browns did damn good. They picked cornerback Greg Newsome, linebacker Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. I thought that they were a damn good team, and I talked shit on Baker and all that stuff, and they clearly ended up being a solid team in the AFC, especially in the AFC North. I would not be shocked if we have them winning the AFC North next year. They've done very good moves. These moves are huge. Owusu-Koramoah alone is a huge playmaker and is going to be the heart of the defense. And for a defense that's already pretty solid, really good. I really like that. I really like what they did. They're continuing to build this team, and even if you don't have an elite quarterback, I think that he's going to be good enough because you have the coach, you have the organization, you have all these picks, or these these players that are surrounding Baker and make him look better than he probably is, which is kind of what you're supposed to do. So I like it.
It's crazy because the Browns went from the team you hated the most to the team you love the most.
Really?
And that's the reason why is because when the dad left the house, the kids didn't throw a party, right?
Exactly.
He brought home more kids. That will help them out with the chores. It's just how it works.
Kids and they're all groomed. They're not wearing baggy clothes. They're groomed. They're buttoned up and they're ready to fucking play football. I love it.
Alex, who you got, man?
Okay, so typically what teams do when a draft comes around, they look at what they need and then they draft what they need. Tradon, you fucking nailed it. The Cleveland Browns drafted what they needed. They now have an elite defense in an AFC North that has a lot of question marks with those other three teams. It's hard to say the words. The Browns did a good job during the draft. I didn't know that was actually a sentence that was humanly possible to say out loud. But they killed it. They did a really good job. I mean, I'm just piggybacking on what Tradon said, but the Browns have an elite defense that could carry them a long way. Good job, Cleveland. You finally didn't fuck it up.
Love it. Eric.
The best team in the AFC was the Chargers. They drafted offensive tackle Rashawn Slater. And we talked about it. Herbert now has another piece to his O-line. They're going to learn how to protect this guy because the more protection he gets, the better he plays. You know what that means? It means the Chargers will actually win games this year. It means they won't blow games. It means they won't lose games by field goals in the last 30 seconds, which has happened to them the last two seasons. They finally have that piece. They got Herbert last year. We see how talented and good that he really can be. Now that he has more protection, this is really going to help them. And I think that they're going to be that much better of a team.
Interesting. That wasn't even on my radar. But yeah, good stuff, man. Tyler.
I got the Baltimore Ravens. I think
wasn't on my radar either.
I think Lamar Jackson's going to be happy with Jackson. Is going to be happy with their first round wide receiver pick, Rashad Bateman. I also think that they added some really good physical players on their both on the offensive line and the defensive line with Odafe Owe and Ben Cleveland. I don't know if I did the first one right. But two guys I like a lot, and then they added some depth at cornerback late in the draft. We mentioned that the Baltimore Ravens, I think we all unanimously agreed that they needed a wide receiver. I think Bateman fits that role for them. So I think the Ravens did a really good job.
I went different than anybody else did. I went with the New England Patriots because Bill Belichick got his dude without having to trade any pieces. Like, he wanted Matthew McCorkle-Jones the entire time, and he got Matthew McCorkle-Jones with the 15th pick in the NFL draft.
Is that his middle name?
Yeah, McCorkle. I just love saying it. It's like a salt, isn't it? Or like a pepper, whatever it is.
McCormick.
Oh, that's what that is. Anyway, McCorkle-Jones. He's the prototypical Bill Belichick quarterback. Bill Belichick does not run a good offense with a mobile quarterback. He likes people who sit in the pocket and make good reads and accurate throws. That's what he does. I mean, kind of like Kyle Shanahan's system, where it's like you throw the ball to your dude and let him run with it. That's what the Patriots do. Bill Belichick has you throw short rather than long. Your progression is short to long, not the other way around. And McCorkle-Jones does just that. Throws really good short. The next couple of picks, they showed up their defense. They're starting to build from the D-line out, and that's just shown dominance because that's how Bill Belichick runs his defense. They're pretty much stacked. Honestly, they're probably going to be it's going to be another year of them being a top team because of their picks this draft. Moving on to the losers of the AFC. Tradon, who you got?
Okay, so we all do fantasy football, right? And all of us have like a sleeper pick. We're like, yeah, that guy's gonna be good. I'm gonna wait till the 8th or 7th round to pick this guy. It's gonna be all great. And then you blow your load and pick him first round. Enter the Las Vegas Raiders. You fucking idiots. The Raiders took Alex Leatherwood at 17, who was maybe at 50 spots below everyone else's fucking list. And there's way better picks they could have picked beyond there. And then they went and picked Malcolm Kuntz and Divine Diablo in the 3rd round, who were probably like 5th round values. Like, dude, like and by the way, they traded up to get Trevor Murig, and then drafted a safety in the 3rd and 4th round. So like, I just don't understand. Like, they think they're smart and they played themselves. They're fucking idiots. Like, and the problem is, Eric, you talk about how
what do I say?
Their quarterback. I can't even think right now because I'm like
Derek Carr.
Derek Carr is such a piece of shit. Well, dude,
I didn't say he's a piece of shit.
You just say he's not that great. He is that good. He just has to deal with the idiots that run this team, John Gruden and fucking Matt Mayock. Like, he could thrive everything. That's sad.
The crazy thing about this is that Mike Mayock used to be a draft analyst, and he would literally like make your mock drafts, and people would listen to him. And now that he's the GM of a team, he's doing a shit job of picking people.
It's amazing.
How ridiculous is that? It blows my mind.
Amazing.
Alex, who's the loser for you?
Yeah. Okay. So typically what happens when the NFL draft comes around, teams look at what they need and then they draft what you need. And then traded my man, there are the Las Vegas Raiders.
Oh,
who I said you need to get a Khalil Mack-esque defensive force, and then you draft a tackle. John Gruden, what the fuck are you doing? And then I think Eric might have been added to the Raiders draft room because they drafted 3 safeties. So,
most
Eric,
important player.
We know you love safeties. So, hopefully some of these guys turn out for you. But Raiders just, it's painful. It's painful. You already had a top 10 offense. James mentioned it when we were going over this. You pick a tackle. You need help on defense. Trey just mentioned it. You could have gotten him 2 rounds later. You picked him 17 overall. Oh, Raiders. Oh, the Raiders.
It's amazing. Like you guys just mentioned, they're bad. Watch us be wrong and then absolutely just shred on defense. It'll be
God. We'll somehow.
Those 3 safeties end up playing like linebackers. I'm so crazy. Eric, who you got?
Yeah, I got the Raiders. But here's why. Yeah, it's funny. I completely contradict myself like I always do. My main reason was because they drafted 3 safeties. Like, anytime you draft 3 of the same position, like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, so then one, it shows they have no confidence in the starter, Jonathan Abram. Second is they drafted this 3rd safety. They had already drafted 2 is very close in front of him. Tyree Gillespie. Like, I'm reading reports about him. It's like they're gonna have this dude battle Jonathan Abram in training camp to see who gets the spot. It's like, what about the other two dudes you just drafted? And then, funny that you say that, Alex or James, I forget who just said this. Like, it said that they're trying to move one of the safeties to linebacker now, and then like they're gonna try to move one of the other safeties. Like, oh, this guy could be like a mobile like defensive end quarter. He could be like a jack of all trades on the. It's what the fuck are you guys doing?
Oh,
It's crazy. I'm glad that we all agree, because earlier I was looking at it and I'm like, I hope I'm not the only one who just thinks they're just being fucking buffoons about all of this.
Buffoons. Yeah, you guys are spot on. What can I say? You guys all agree.
what about
Tyler,
Tyler?
do you have anything different?
I do.
Thank you.
As great or as poor as the Raiders picks were, I thought another team kind of similar thing. This team needed some offensive lineman help, and they didn't draft a single offensive lineman, and that's the Indianapolis Colts. I thought that their first round pick, Kwity Paye, great pick, but after that,
Hold on. Wait. You said the Colts need offensive line help as one of the most dominant offensive line that this league has had in the last 5 years.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Well, I'll just shut up then. I guess.
Yeah, I was like, bro.
I guess my research sucks.
Raiders.
You know what I said then.
Just shit on the Raiders with us.
Yeah, fuck the Raiders. Raiders suck.
They need
Well,
a quarterback.
I have somebody different. I have the Texans, mainly because the Texans traded away all their best players, but they still don't have a first or second round pick in this NFL draft. And with the third pick, they took a quarterback. And I mean, like, I get the Deshaun Watson thing is kind of trippy, and like Deshaun Watson may or may not play this season, but that's not your main concern right now. You have holes everywhere in every single spot on your team, and you picked a quarterback. Like, even if Deshaun Watson does play, you're not going to win any games. Deshaun Watson's there to sell tickets. The Houston Texans are not going to win a game this season. They're a terrible team, a terrible franchise. Don't even bother watching this team. If Deshaun Watson doesn't play, there's no reason to put on a Texans game at all. Terrible draft.
Oh, well, to watch the other team.
Oh, yeah. I mean, do that. But then
You
whenever
want to watch football, right? You want to watch a Pee-wee team take on an NFL.
So
Why did you
if
just
you're
do that
watching
to me, man?
NFL Sunday Red Zone and the Texans come on, turn the TV off.
Turn
Don't
the
watch
TV
it
off.
anymore
Just
that
like
day.
that.
Oh, man.
That's my segment, guys.
Ruthless. Fucking ruthless.
Thank you, James. It's nice to talk about football again. It feels like it's been a little bit. Yeah, guys. One quick last thing. Let me give you the quick hockey update of tonight. Unfortunately, Brad the Rat Marchand just broke Bobby Orr's record for the fastest playoff goals scored in Bruins franchise history, 39 seconds into overtime. We're big stat guys, and we find out right then on the fly. The Carolina Hurricanes dominated the Predators, even though the game was actually pretty close. And then right now we got a 1-1 dogfight with the Blues and Avs. Third period puck drop just began. So we'll see the Blues come out with a game one upset victory as described earlier, right, Tradon?
Dude, you're absolutely insane.
All in all, the last thing I'll say, basically about like a year ago, what was once dicking around at a brewery talking about sports. Oh my God, the Avalanche just scored. Fuck.
That's my team.
What was once an idea of just kind of dicking around at a brewery has now turned into like a year's worth of podcast episodes, 47 to be exact. So, we want to thank all the fans, all the listeners, for all your feedback and just listening to us rant about sports and pop culture. We're going to continue to deliver and get better every time. So that's all we got for you guys this week, and we will catch you back next week. Peace.